the true story about Princess Diana's relationship with her mother. At the age of 6, Diana Spencer's world fell apart when her parents ended their marriage and her happy, undemanding childhood came to an abrupt end. Her mother, Frances Roche, shocked everyone when she left her husband, John Spencer, 8th Earl Spencer, after falling in love with Peter Shand Kidd, whom she met at a London dinner party in 1966. A year later, Frances and Peter began their affair, and John had little choice but to agree to a trial separation and then a divorce. Years later, Diana recalled the bitter arguments between her parents. When she poured out her heart for Andrew Morton's book Diana, Her True Story, she spoke about her memories of the crunching sound of tires on the gravel as her mother drove away from the family home. After the divorce, Diana stayed with her father, telling Morton that from then onwards, childhood was very unstable. The biggest disruption was when Mummy decided to leg it. That's the vivid memory we have. People took sides. Various people didn't speak to each other. For my brother and I, it was a very wishy washy and painful experience, Diana said. As for Frances, life wasn't exactly easy as she lost custody of the children after being labeled an unfit mother for leaving the marriage. She was widely condemned for deserting her children, Diana and her siblings, Sarah, Jane, and Charles. In those days, divorce was quite unusual in aristocratic circles, and it was very rare that the mother would not get primary custody. Frances was certainly being punished for having an affair. She fought for custody of her two youngest, Diana and Charles, while the older girls, Sarah and Jane, were sent to boarding school. But Frances lost two court cases, and even her own mother turned against her. Lady Ruth Vermoy gave evidence against Frances in court, referring to her as a bad mother. Royal biographer Penny Juror says Lady Vermoy was a terrible snob, saying she thoroughly disapproved of her daughter leaving the Earl and taking up with a man in trade. According to Sarah Bradford, author of Diana, the children were oblivious to the behind the scenes battle over the terms of the divorce and custody arrangements. Bradford writes, the Althorpe divorce caused an upheaval in Norfolk society. Frances was publicly branded a bolter and an adulteress. Emotions were raw on both sides. Frances went through agony when she lost her children, a friend recalled. Torn between love for her devastated father and her absent mother, Diana suffered what would turn out to be a deep and psychologically crippling wound. Journalist Richard Kay, who is a friend of Diana's, has said he believed the Spencers' divorce played a significant role in what happened in Diana's marriage to Prince Charles. According to Kay, Diana's parents' divorce hung like a cloud over much of her life, influencing many of the decisions she made. He believed Diana and her mother shared several similarities. Frances was sort of an older version of Diana. There was friction between them, there is no doubt about it, he said. He also believed Diana's parents' divorce set the tone for Diana's own relationships. It cast a shadow over Diana's entire life, framed very much her own marriage, too. So that was a constant feature in the background. As others believed Diana's worldwide popularity and her unofficial title as the People's Princess filled her mother with envy. In the 2017 Amazon Prime documentary, Diana, the Woman Inside, Frances admitted that she often saw her daughter as a rival. Diana's butler friend Paul Burrell has spoken about a hate-filled and personal attack by Frances in a phone call to Diana just months before Diana's death. Frances was apparently upset about Diana's associations with various men that her mother didn't approve of. According to Paul, following that conversation, Diana decided not to talk to her mother again, and that was the last time the two women ever spoke. In an interview with Fox TV in 1998, Frances said she had stood alongside the public who'd gathered outside Diana Kensington's palace home during the incredible outpouring of grief over Diana's death. With literally thousands of people comforting, sharing, we were sharing a very deep hurt. But I think far too little has been said about what people all over the world gave to her, Frances said at the time. They nourished her, they made her smile, they gave her strength. I wanted privacy for her very often when she wasn't working, but it wasn't to be. Yet, despite the often rocky relationship between Diana and her mother, there was certainly no evidence that it had any negative impact on Diana's role as a mother. Diana, whose idea of motherhood was completely different from royals of previous generations, was widely acknowledged as being a wonderful, loving mother. She was known as a princess who threw out the rule books when it came to raising sons William and Harry, insisting the children travel with her as often as possible. While it wasn't royal protocol to bring children along on tour, Diana insisted she bring 9-month-old William on a tour of Australia. She also took the boys with her to visit people in hospital, particularly AIDS patients, at a time when many people were fearful to have any contact with those suffering from the illness. Diana always knew she wanted to raise her children to have as normal a life as possible. She has been quoted as saying, "I live for my sons. I would be lost without them." Diana also broke with royal protocol by taking her boys to public schools, which was highly unusual for members of the royal family. Prince William was the first future king to be fully educated in the public school system, which was against the royal tradition for children to be educated at home by governesses. Above all else, Diana was known to be an incredibly loving mother who absolutely adored her two boys. William told a documentary about Diana's life. She understood there was a real world outside the palace walls. Behind closed doors, she was a very loving, caring mother and an incredibly funny person, Prince Harry has said. It's impossible to look at photos of Diana's sons and grandchildren today and not feel immeasurably sad that she isn't around to enjoy them. She would undoubtedly have treated her grandkids with the same love, playfulness,